Mr. Dorsey.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Congratulations to you and Ms. Crystal. And if Mr. Weistad found it difficult to follow the two of you, imagine how I must feel having to follow the four of you. This is certainly a night where we look forward to the rest of the year with hope, possibility, perhaps conditional optimism. But first, I'd like to take a step back and look at 2016. And I'd have to say, in retrospect, on balance, it was a pretty effective year. Mr. Schwartz, you had a full year as county manager without that pesky acting designation. And I have to applaud your performance and appreciate your careful and effective management of our government and your leadership in inspiring the quality work that was performed by our very talented staff. We proved able to deliver high-quality services and reduce project backlogs in a fiscally responsible manner. We definitely navigated course corrections, such as was the case with Fire Station number 8. Although the staff recommendation, as you may recall, was different than what the board directed, the progress towards siting this rebuilt community amenity is greater than I anticipated. We also made substantial progress toward advancing major projects like the Lubber Run Community Center, transit stations along Columbia Pike, and the Long Bridge Aquatics and Health Facility, with practical project scopes and design-build approaches that will deliver quality infrastructure and amenities while placing a premium on value for our taxpayers. It is a best practice for governments to move with all deliberate speed. Ours, however, tends to overemphasize the deliberate part of the phrase. But in 2016, we showed that when necessary, we can move expeditiously without sacrificing quality. Some were high-profile efforts, such as the very end-of-the-year effort to legalize and sensibly regulate short-term rentals, making AHIF loan funds available to secure for the next 6 decades affordable housing in Westover, and finding a temporary solution for families and a child care provider who were displaced by fire. But still, many others happen outside of the public eye, such as the emergency constituent concerns, which were resolved by our ombudspersons and other staff. Of course, there are many efforts that I don't have time to recognize, nor we have time to recognize tonight, that we should all be proud of. And it is also true that there are other areas where we didn't perform as well as was necessary. A notable area is our inconsistency with public engagement. Now, I see progress, and I am quite pleased with the resources and the team that we have in place, but we cannot be satisfied until the manner of public participation that we have with our indefatigable volunteers as well as our infrequent engagers is consistently excellent. Which brings me to a look at this year. Everything that we did well in the past, we have to continue to do well, and we must make progress on those areas of relative weakness. Now, in my assessment, we face circumstances that will require the very best from our staff, from this board, and from our community. There is a certain unpredictability, which we've all spoken to, at how national issues will affect us locally. We must be ready to embrace the opportunity to improve our community and quality of life while being defiant in the face of any attack on our values. But our challenges locally are more clear. Increasing school enrollment, while not as acute as previously projected, is still at a level that exceeds easy solutions and may require investments that strain our debt capacity as well as our annual operating budget. And we will need our colleagues, our friends at APS, to continue delivering a superior curriculum and instructional experience while considering our capacity limitations. And then, of course, there's Metro. Increased costs, a litany of unaddressed maintenance and safety concerns, declining ridership, and flat subsidy levels have combined for a toxic stew, that our region can no longer stomach. And as your representative to the WMATA board, I will see that the funds are prudently budgeted and responsibly spent. But make no mistake, millions more will be required from Arlington. And that's a number that requires our making hard choices and perhaps delaying or foregoing other priorities. Now, Metro's importance to Arlington and our region cannot be overstated. It has helped our region grow without a corresponding increase in roads and congestion and environmental degradation. Making sure that this asset can continue to be the backbone of a successful regional transit network is a high priority. Now, our public schools and Metro are key components of what I see as our chief challenge and priority in the coming year: growing, maintaining, and enhancing our infrastructure assets. Now, where practicable, we are expanding our public land inventory by acquiring land outside of the county or leasing other sites. But these are not sustainable solutions for all of our needs. Delivering the government services that taxpayers deserve, housing a modern bus transportation network, transporting more students, and equipping a 21st century emergency operations center, just to name a few needs, require more space than we have. And at the same time, we could sure use more programmed parks, more unprogrammed open spaces, and more cultural and athletic facilities. And I'm going to go out on a limb and imagine that for most people, they would prefer those kinds of uses in their neighborhoods compared to the ones that serve our municipal functions. But I need to be very clear, that just won't be possible. Now, that said, I trust that there are creative solutions to meeting our facility needs, and as has been described, there will be robust opportunities for our public to engage in finding these solutions. Given Arlington's expertise in master planning sites and land use planning of our neighborhoods, I am confident that we can effectively utilize space and create municipal infrastructure that is reasonably attractive in form and efficient in function. Now, speaking of planning, I look very much forward to continued progress, which Mr. Weistat is helping coordinate on planning the future of the 4 Mile Run Valley and to commencing in earnest planning segments along Lee Highway. It is also my hope that we look strategically at the Columbia Pike corridor to see where public investments or public-private partnerships can accelerate our revitalization goals. And we should make it a priority to imbue these and all other planning efforts with quantitative analyses of near and long-term fiscal and demographic impacts. When I talk about asset management, however, I'm not just talking about land or facilities or neighborhoods. I also mean human capital. And that's why economic development is such a countywide priority. A diverse revenue base means more income for our residents, and when they have more income, they are more secure. When they are more secure, they spend more, which creates a cascading effect of positivity for our small businesses, who then get what they need most: customers. Now, the paradigms that guided non-residential commercial development have changed. We must be nimble and creative in seizing opportunities during these changing market dynamics. And of course, when it comes to maximizing human capital, we cannot forget the primacy of housing affordability. It is a core element of our being a diverse community and increasing opportunities for our families. We must maintain our investments in affordable housing and reserve the capacity, as we did this year, to take advantage of unforeseen opportunities. And then on the non-spending side, we must become permissive of and encourage the use of innovative lot designs and housing types that create market affordable solutions, because we cannot solve our affordable housing issues if we don't have conditions that create the acceleration of market rate units. Now, the docket of priorities that we have all mentioned tonight are beyond our capacity to sufficiently address all at once. We are going to have to prioritize the allocation of our resources. We're going to have to fit infrastructure and uses where there may be initial neighborhood resistance. And we're going to have to delay or decline action on projects where, in a better world, we would commence action right away. Now, I recognize this all sounds quite negative. It's not really meant to be so, but it is important to be clear and to manage expectations. Despite all I have just said, I remain optimistic. Because where unlimited dollars are not the answer, creative solutions often are. And there seems to be something about Arlington that compels our working together toward a common good. And while elsewhere, parochialism and narrow interests define community conversations, I have every hope that Arlington residents and stakeholders will rise to the occasion and go counter-cyclical by working with all of us to meet our facility needs, even if it means locating those uses in their backyard. By embracing inclusivity and recognizing the value of diversity, despite the tenor of the national conversation. And being patient in the face of delayed priorities or attention to areas where there might not be a direct personal benefit. In conclusion, if we all do our part, this challenging year can become quite the rewarding one. And I'm ready to get to work. Thank you.
Okay, there you have it.